Good morning, Greg here, burning both ends. Burning on the front end of a beautiful Mother's Day 2018 in Albany, California. It's May 13th, just about 8:07 Pacific. Burning a bit later today. Me and the wife had a great date last night. Went to Corso, Italian restaurant here in Berkeley, one of our favorite spots. And I have a very interesting thing happen last night. I did a little test, and it worked out for us. So, and it relates to this whole thing that I'm doing, this whole internet marketing, putting content on the internet, and all the places that I can put things and kind of hide things almost for people to find, right? This concept of the long tail, and that there are just infinitely many interesting eyes and ears that want to see this stuff and find it and uncover it. And so I was making reservations for Corso, and I think it was very late the one night that I did, and I called and got their voicemail, and I said, you know what, let me just use whatever online service they have. I think they had Open Table. And so I'm making the reservation, and it's that bubbly water, and there's a little comment box, and so and I had met the chef of Corso, a gentleman named Lewis, before. I'd gone to Corso a few times on my own, just after work sometimes. I have this night of work that I do every other Tuesday where I just go right from work into doing my side projects, and part of that is typically just getting some food on my own. And Corso has a great paleo meal. It's not called that, but it is. It's this chicken dish, this a la carte chicken, like butter chicken dish, which is just fantastic. And actually I'll link the recipe below. It's a great recipe. It's kind of hard to read, but you can still I'll get through it. And then a side of spinach, like, olive oil, garlic, spinach. I just love that. So anyway, while I was there one night, I had met the chef, Lewis, and we connected on the fact that he was born and raised in northern New Jersey. I was born and raised in Westchester County, which is just above New York City. And my grandma, my mom's mom, lived in Clifton, New Jersey. So we visited Clifton on a regular basis, talked to Lewis about that, we connected, and built a little relationship, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then the next time I showed up, I don't think he was there, but I asked about him, and so I think word got around that I was there and asked about him. And then the third time I was there, I saw him, he remembered me, so we built this little relationship. And I find that really fun to do that. And because that's important, I love going there. Obviously he loves having people there, and so it's a good place to connect. And so what I did when I did the Open Table reservation is I put a little note in the comment box that I knew Lewis and we were excited to come and was bringing my wife and so on and so forth. And I was just curious to see if that message found its way to Lewis. And lo and behold, we get to the restaurant, we get seated at our table, and a few minutes later, some complimentary sparkling white wine comes out as a thanks for coming out, enjoy your meal, this is from Lewis. And I don't know, it was like the coolest thing. It was such a simple comment, and it was just an act of gratitude during the Open Table reservation. Just, hey, we know Lewis, thanks for being a great restaurant, we love coming here. And here karma comes back to us, and it was total rock star treatment. And it was like kind of cool points for me. I felt like a stud in front of my wife that here her man got some free sparkling wine. It was really good too. I forget what it was, but it was delicious. And so that was really cool. And so it works. This whole thing works. There we go. There's proof it works. So anyway, and then just another little thing before we get into today's topic, which is I think a really cool one. Is my kids, and I just had to restart the video over. I just had a slight interruption a little bit later this morning, and so my 4-year-old came in and she wants her bottle, and she had come in earlier, so I got up maybe about 6:30 this morning, and I was prepping for this talk, and she comes in at some point, and I have the garage door open, so it's a little chilly in here, but it's nice. That's why I rock the hat and the hoodie, and she comes in, and not really fully clothed from a night of sleep, and she starts having a tantrum, the fact that the garage door is open and it's cold, and she just freaks out, goes on the floor here, kicking and screaming. And this is a tough spot for a parent, because you want to help, or I want to help, but at the same time I can't give in to this behavior. I mean, this is no way. I mean, I know she's 4, but this is no way to get things in life, right? This is not I can't teach her that this is acceptable and that if you do this, I'll give in. So was kind of difficult, but I had to just sit here and watch her kick and scream and knock, and I wasn't gonna close the garage door, kind of being a little bit of a pain, but I think important though. And to see her kind of go through this kind of emotional roller coaster and then come out of it, and then realize that what she was doing wasn't working, and that the best thing was just to go back in and probably go back to sleep because it was too early for her. This is a concept. Kids and sleep, they don't really understand how important it is and why it's important and why you need to get enough and so on and so forth, and they don't, I guess it's they don't really have good long-term thinking yet, and I guess a lot of us struggle with that long-term thinking. But anyway, so that was a fun little tidbit, a little spice this morning. And also, every time my kids come into my life like that, especially when I'm trying to do something, trying to do some work or trying to get something personally done, and having to break that for them, it's just a good reminder that there's more than just the things I need to do. There's a bigger picture. Being of service, always helping my kids. That's one thing I do, is that whenever they ask for help, I always want to try to help them. Sometimes the help is you need to do it yourself, or I'll teach you how to do it, and that might be more annoying than just me doing it for you, things like that. So anyway, so let's get into the topic. This is a good one. I use this one on a regular basis. It's this Navy SEAL 40% rule, and the basic premise is that we are much more capable than we think we are, and this usually speaks to physical challenges, but I apply it to mental ones as well. And the mind tries to stop us at about 40%. Now, whether it's actually 40%, or I don't think this is a scientific experiment, so it's taken with a grain of salt. About half, you could say. So the mind tries to stop us at about 40% of capacity to keep us safe. Think of fight or flight. Back in the day when you were walking through the jungle and you had to be prepared to sprint from a lion at any point in time, having some reserve was important. And so nowadays, not so much. But that programming is still there. And so if the mind is sending a signal around the 40% time, then with some mental toughness, I can overcome that and do amazing things. And so we have our fight or flight programming, this 40% concept, and just how do we access that reserve tank? And I think it is kind of a simple thing, because a lot of this stuff boils down to simple things, and I'll get more into that a little bit later, but just some mental toughness, access the tank. I've linked to the YouTube video that describes this. It's about a gentleman that spent 30 days or something with a Navy SEAL to learn that, about that mindset and what it takes to become a SEAL, which I don't think I'd be able to do. I think I would think my way out of it. But anyway, so let's get into the topic, right? So for me, the first thing about thinking about this 40% rule is how do I enable myself to step into the space where I'm forced to access this reserve tank, right? How do I put myself in a position that this 40% mental signal is going to come, and I can now overcome it? And these are, and we all know about these things that come along in life, where this things it comes across our plate, however it does, and this little uh-oh comes up. At least this is how it is for me. This uh-oh comes up, and I'm like, I know I should do that. Oh, man, that's going to be a pain, or that's going to be a lot of work, or whatever it is, right? That initial, it's like that thing about running a marathon. It's like to think about running the whole marathon is kind of tough, but preparing takes one step at a time, right? Or even running the marathon, right? Just one step at a time. And so I haven't run a full marathon. I've run a 10-mile run. I've done some relays, which are like 4 to 6 miles. Never a full, but I've done plenty of things that are similar and require similar, mental toughness. But anyway, back to these things that come along that we know we should do, that little voice in our head is scared to do because it's going to challenge us. And so what I do in life is I see those things, and even though the uh-oh pops up in my head, I'm like, you know what? That means I have to do it. For example, this pitch competition I was in, I think I talked about it a couple days ago. This 1-minute pitch that I prepared in relation to this iCore course in our miniature accelerator technology. And then the other thing I want to do around that is revise the pitch as per, I don't know if you remember, but I was at a pitch competition, 1 minute pitch, a couple minutes of feedback. It turned out to be a lot more intense than that as far as the rigor of the feedback. But there was a C-level executive, Christina Elwood, who was there to give this feedback. And so I have a follow-up with her where I want to revise the pitch as per her recommendation, and then YouTube it and throw it at her again and get some more feedback. And so and probably even meet with her and do some more in-person, really rigorous kind of feedback as per the pitch competition. And then this iCore program is another example of it. This is the 7-week entrepreneurial training. I just know it's going to kick my butt, but it's going to, it's going to build character. It's going to make me sharper. It's going to, hone my skills. I'm really excited about it. So the first concept is, how do I create a way to step into a space where I'm going to use this rule? And then I have a specific example, my bike ride to work. So I have an image link below in the description, also in the outline, that shows the climb of my ride. So it's I go up 928 feet roughly, and then down 177 over the whole climb. So that's about a 750 net climb. And most of that is in the last, mile or 3/4 of a mile. And I remember the very first couple of times I did it, first couple of times I attempted it, I wasn't able to do it. And I think it was even right then that I learned about this 40% rule. And then it was that third day where I was like, all right, let's access this reserve tank. And I was able to do it. It just, I was able to convince my legs that my mind was just full of it. And then I also used, and I got past this little hump on this little wall that I was hitting, and it was coming at the same exact spot up the climb the first couple times, the first 3 or 4 days that I was doing this, because I remember seeing a specific sign when I was like, I gotta get off the bike here and walk the rest. So I used that 40% rule to move past it, and then I also have 2 other mental tricks that I was using, and this leverages like my logical mind, being an engineer. And one of them is, there are a finite number of pedal strokes to get up the hill, right? At some point, whatever that number is, I'm going to get through all of them. So if I just do one at a time, I'll get there, right? It doesn't matter how fast each pedal stroke is, how far it gets me up the hill. All I know is that at some point, it will be the last pedal. The last stroke will occur, and I will be up the hill. And my logical mind goes, yeah, that makes sense, right? So just keep pedaling, and you'll get there, duh. And then the second one is more of a mental thing about now attacking the rest of my day. And my thing is, if I can get up this hill, then I can do anything at work, right? What can I not do at work? If I can get through this challenge first thing in the morning, then anything that's thrown at me at work is gonna be a piece of cake. And so those tend to work really well. And then there's a little funny story here that one time when I was early in my paleo, right? So part of getting into paleo and ketosis is one can feel lethargic as the body is transitioning. And I thought I was in this lethargy, that's how you say it, this lethargic point in my diet, and I'm biking up the hill, and it seems extra hard this one day. I mean, I almost couldn't believe how difficult. I'm like, wow, I must really be hitting ketosis now. I was kind of excited, but at the same time, getting really tired. And then when I got up the hill and I finally got off my bike and I looked back and I realized my back tire was flat. So it wasn't exactly the paleo. It was a very obvious, it's a lot harder to bike with a flat tire, but that one built character too. So a little humility there. Right, I had to laugh at myself on that one. So, and then last little piece here, and this is now more the mental, because sometimes I would have to say it's a little easier to bust out a physical activity when the mental, I guess the mental block comes. And I have to admit, for me, getting through mental toughness or having mental toughness more when I'm working on a project, not like a highly physical thing, but more of like, I'm just doing work. I find that to be more difficult. And so there's this one quote that I really love. I forget who says it. I tried to find it, but I couldn't. And it's, when I don't feel like hammering on a project, I hammer on a project. And so I use that one because a lot of times that comes up, late in the day. It's like 4:30. Do I really want to get into something for half an hour before I gotta leave work? Or you know, a lot with the side work, with this burn at both ends. I mean, you know, as excited and motivated as I am, it still does take a lot of mental toughness to do this burn. That alarm goes off. There are certainly times when it's like, I don't really want to get up, but it's so important, the self-discipline, the self-control, just to sometimes just going through the motions. It's not always going to be super excited and, oh my gosh, this is a great day. Sometimes it's like, all right, let's make this a great day. Let's get ourselves to the kitchen. Let's get that keto coffee going, and just get into something awesome. And I find that if I could just make that little journey, that journey from the bed through the coffee to the desk, by the time I get to the desk, I can really severely increase my motivation, and just get into something. And I do find this, like, when I don't want to hammer on a project, I hammer on a project. It's so simple that's why it works for me, because I find that my mental BS, that thing, that it's got a lot of details to throw at me, a lot of reasons why I shouldn't do something. It tries to make things complicated, and oh my gosh, there's so many aspects to this, and so many reasons why it shouldn't. You should go back to bed. Or whereas there's a beautiful simplicity of, no, just get up. Right. That's it. I mean, it's almost too beautiful to be, you know, to work, and you know. And I find that it really shuts that mind up. It's like, stop with that mental BS there. We don't need all these details. It's just get up. It's kind of simple. Coffee, desk, work. You know, change lives, inspire people, and then that stuff can easily build it. So I do like that simplicity, and the simplicity of the 40% rule. It's just like, your mind's talking, but just don't listen. Done. So that's where we are today. I challenge you, go out, use that rule, put yourself in a position to use it, whether it's in a physical task or a mental task. See how it works, and force it to work. I mean, nothing bad's going to happen. Trust me. And so have a great Mother's Day. Go out and celebrate, you know, a mother in your life, even if you're not married, or, you know, your mother's not around, just any mother. Show some gratitude, some appreciation. Family is so important, and I think that's a place that I should do. I'll probably do a whole post on that, just the importance of family in my experience. I've been very lucky to have a very strong family. My parents, my brother, and I bring that to my family. I like spending a lot of time with my kids and my wife, and you know, inspiring them, and yeah, it's very important, very important. So anyway, subscribe to the channel, join me on this journey, start a journey of your own. Comment down below, ask questions. I'd love to help if I can, if there's anything I can do. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. In fact, I think it would be so much cooler if you were on the other side of the world, and we were able to work together and improve each other's lives somehow. I think that'd be awesome, and that's something I'd love to do with this channel. There are a lot of links in the description, so check them out. Some motivational videos, some things relating to today's talk. And then, of course, a shout out to my alter ego G Money. Thanks for the beats. If you like the beats, check them out. There's a link down below. There's also some other music down below. I'm kind of keeping some links down there. Eventually, there will be a website that's going to have all this stuff. I'm building that right now. But in between now and then, just check out that description. And yeah, and have a really powerful day. Talk soon.